This is the Stop Playing podcast with Sham and Shaka. I'm Sham.
I'm Shaka. What's going on, Sham?
You know, relaxing. Holiday season. Pulling through.
Holiday season's in full swing.
Mm-hmm.
I've finished all my Christmas shopping.
You have?
I sure have.
That's excellent.
And presents on their way out because, I mean, clearly I'm not going to drive them around. There's some people out of state. And there's some people wherever. So most of them are being delivered. So Christmas is going to come early for pretty much everybody because I'm not going to wait till next week. Get hit over the head with delivery prices. So yours is on your way to you.
No, well, thank you. That's very excellent.
You should get it by this weekend. I'm proud of myself for yours. Because, spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with the Eagles, which would have been the easy way out. But I think both of us have gotten to the point where we're tired of seeing these guys unless we have to.
That's the securest way out for me.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll like this.
You gave me an Eagles eraser. Yay.
I was thinking about it. I was like, well, I gave her a keychain and there was like something else. But then I was like, nah, you know what? I'm going away from the Birds this year. So you know
what's interesting though? Like everybody knows the teams that I love. Mm-hmm. But when people buy me stuff, it's always Eagles. People don't buy me Duke stuff. Mm. They don't buy me Orioles stuff. It's always Eagles stuff. I have so much Eagles stuff.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, well, anything else will be close to spoiling, so I'm not. But I can tell you it's also not a Duke thing. And
I'm pretty sure it's not.
You never have to worry about that. And you know what? I put some on the outline. It's up to you based on how much college ball. But I do have some thoughts on some Duke stuff if we want to get into that. So, yeah.
Many people do, so it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But real quick, before you tell everybody where they can find this and all that, I don't really have an anecdote. I didn't want to include this as a story, so it's just kind of how my week's been. I've been in the house like I've been most of the time for the pandemic, but really in the house because we had all these protests. And I don't really want to talk about them as a story. I just want to mention them, that we talked about the Proud Boys before, and they showed up here in D.C. and they're still here. A lot of them are still here.
They sleeping on the pavement. Right.
And they're trying to cause trouble. And they're our mayor anticipated their game plan this summer when they had their small little rally. And they've been over 35 people have been arrested based on what they've been doing. At least 8-9 people have been stabbed, one critical. They're trying to cause all kinds of trouble. And finally, they actually took down some Black Lives Matter banners, burned them, and also defaced 2 black churches downtown. These people are out of control. I want all of them arrested. Don't let them go home.
Sounds like very fine people.
Exactly. And trying to just sow havoc in our city. So, but a lot of people have been expressing concern about me, more so than usual. I think we take protests for granted, but we're fine, man. I'm fine. We're fine. People who don't live here, I'm saying.
Yeah, because they don't know you don't go outside.
Well, I don't go outside with stuff like that. Yeah,
unless they come in to burn down your house, you're good.
Yeah. Or unless they burn down like my favorite brunch spot, like it's got to be there when the pandemic ends.
Shout out to Provision.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, you know what? Provision, I would say, would it be fair to say Provision was the location of the first official meeting of the Stop Playing podcast entity?
It absolutely was.
Yeah,
it was in July 2018.
Yep. And we sat and kind of started mapping out the game plan. And look at us now. And
the dude didn't have grapefruit mimosas on the menu, but he made sure I had some.
Almost derailed our whole podcast. Just saw that. Like, we gotta go. We'll rethink this later. Oh, you can fix that? Okay. Game back on. Party back.
Oh, okay. We ain't going to another spot.
All right. So about this, yeah. I remember that day too. That was fun.
Brunch.
Yeah. We'll get back. We'll get it back. But other than that, that's how my week's been. Christmas shopping, staying in the house, working. Work's been great, as usual. Very happy. Yeah. Yourself?
It's been a little trying. My surrogate niece was in a pretty bad car accident on Sunday morning.
Oh no.
She went to the PG County Trauma Center and they had to do some kind of emergency surgery, had to reconstruct her face.
Oof.
She has her jaws wired shut. It instantly made me think of Through the Wire by Kim K's husband. And,
who I would also like to mention later.
I know. Oh, I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you saw that.
But yeah, so she came home yesterday. It's amazing that this girl is still alive. Like when we went to go pick up her stuff from her car.
Mm-hmm. And you saw the car?
The car, just looking at that car, I'm like, I don't know how anybody survived that. So
it's crazy. Well, I will say what I've said to people, I'll pray for it. And when I say that, I mean it. Meaning, normally what I'll do is do a quick prayer right there on the spot so that I'm not made out to be a liar and forget about it later, which I've done.
But she seems to be in good spirits. I saw her today. She's upbeat. She can't talk, but she's writing fast as I don't know what on that dry erase board. So,
yeah. Well, that's good. When you say PG, did you mean like, is PG hospital still a hospital in and of itself?
But it is, but they've changed kind of like the function of it and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, it's still, they even changed the name. I can't remember what.
Okay, I'm about to say, but it's still over in Hinesville, right?
It's still right there on the hill.
Yeah, well, you can see it off like BW Parkway. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's some local jargon for y'all. Don't worry about that. Point thing is she's all right.
Yes, she is okay, and she's going to be okay.
Good. So how can the people find us?
They can find us at www.stopplayinpodcast.com. And when you get there, you'll find links to all of the podcast providers. You can also check us out on YouTube. And there's that.
Nice. Yeah, very excited. And, we talked a little bit before the show. We've been saying this, but we're not lying. We got some big stuff coming up, y'all. Like, well, before when you said that about the website, that's what we meant. It's not about the website. We got guests. We got all kinds of stuff. And now y'all can believe us when we say we have guests because that has proven out. That's proven out. So and 2 years later, but this time it won't take 2 years.
Oh no.
So, and these are going to be some big ones that we got lined up. So very, very excited. Shem, when I sent you your gift before we get started, and you said this to me the first time you gave me your address when we had to do some paperwork, I'm convinced that half of the reason you got the house you got is because when you say your address out, it basically rhymes. And I won't go into details into that, obviously, but like, because I was putting your address in the Amazon when I was sending it, I was like, she's so damn immature. She got that house. Because if it had been the house next to it, maybe not. No, I was just playing. No, it's great.
Interesting that you say that because I never really paid attention to that until just now. But you're right. Like,
oh, no. I got to call you out. When we did our paperwork and I asked for your address, you said it. You were like, and it rhymes too. And you said it twice. I remember it. And I was like, is she serious? Whatever.
Really? It must have just slipped on my tongue that day because that's not something I actually thought about. But I guess maybe when I was saying it to you that time, it caught me.
Because me saying it, me putting it in, I remembered how you said it in your that day. That stuck in my mind. You basically almost rapped it. So.
That's funny. I guess maybe it sounds like that every time I say it, and I just
yeah. This is not easy to forget. I'll never forget it. I'll tell you that. So listen, we talked about, and that's why I didn't want to make them a story. We talked about the protests and all that stuff, and we'll get to that. The big news is the vaccine.
Rollout.
Yep.
Rollout.
And we had talked about it. We talked about Pfizer, Moderna, and the wars, which are hilarious. They're still doing. They're still doing that.
Moderna trials.
Right. But I think they're going to be out next week, though. Moderna's not playing. Like you said, this is a war for them. They don't want to fall behind.
And this is the one that was endorsed by Uncle Tony. So it's even more like big, a big thing for them to hurry up and get this out.
Yeah. I mean, this is the 2020 equivalent of Coke and Pepsi. Like, hey man, 90%, 95%. Okay, then 96%. But the important thing is the FDA went ahead and approved the first vaccine for Pfizer on last Friday. Mm-hmm. Now, even that in and of itself became political because 45 was out there tweeting all day, threatening to fire the FDA chairman, Hahn,
He's trying to fire somebody.
Yeah, and he's just because he wants to make sure that he gets the credit. He wants to keep himself out in front of the story for Operation Warp Speed and the credit instead of just being cool about it. Like if he was cool about it, honestly, even like Jake Tappan, people who don't like him are like, look, we can't take this away from him. The vaccine happened under his administration. But since he's out here now tripping, then it's easy to like kind of undermine that. But anyway, so they approved it Friday the 11th. And then we saw our first vaccinations on television. I saw the first ones on Sunday, which I think is when it happened. What they did was they started going to hospitals, what we talked about. And what they've been doing ever since, and we talked about this too, is they've been making a point. Yes, they're vaccinating frontline workers, but they're vaccinating frontline workers of color. And they're trying to get the point across that we need to show, especially Black people, but all people of color.
But it's been women. Have you seen
and women especially? Yes.
Yeah, I haven't really seen any Black men, but I'm sure there are some.
Yeah, I saw one doctor so far on CNN. That was today. But to your point, yes, everyone has been mostly women. But they've been doing that so that Black people especially, but all people of color can see healthcare professionals taking the vaccine, and it will instill more trust in our communities. And I want to make my position clear about this from last week. And you gave a very eloquent kind of explanation about your thought process about the vaccine on a personal level, and I can respect that. I was fuming a little bit this week when I was seeing some of the statistics about how like nobody wants to take the vaccine or like very few percentage. And I've talked to some people. I still feel like there's enough data out there even right now, to at least instill some trust to take it. But I'll just fall back and say it like this. In order to get herd immunity, Uncle Tony and everybody else said we need 70% of the people vaccinated, period. Now, what that means is, okay, I'm not going to sit here and berate somebody to take it. All I'm trying to say is Black people, especially, and minorities have a higher mortality rate with this disease than everyone else. You cited your personal immune system. Great. A lot of Black people don't have that, and they're not citing stuff like that. They're just like, I don't trust it. Okay, but if we get left behind and other people take it, then what does it all mean? If you don't take it, you die. What does it all mean? I want enough Black people to take it where we don't get left behind and everyone else is taking it and get herd immunity. That's what I want. And, especially Black people, because, Shan, I feel like my second model on this show is arguing with Black people about stuff. So if they want to come out at me, they could do that. But I love our people so much, and I don't want us to get left behind. That's the bottom line. So I'm not going to jump the line to get the vaccine, but when it becomes available to me, I will take it.
I'll just reiterate the fact that I'm waiting on the final edit. I'll take version 5. If so, I'm treating this vaccine like a PS5. I'm just telling you. That.
Hey, I'll be one of the people that's like version 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. But it's good news. It's good to see people taking it. It's good to see frontline healthcare workers getting it. They're getting it on television. Joe Biden said he'll get it like when it's appropriate, meaning like he doesn't want to just jump the line.
Jump in front of people who actually need to get it. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I like what he said today. He said, I'm talking to Anthony Fauci directly about when I should take it. And he gave me a timeline. So,
that's his boy.
That's his man.
The cabinet now.
Yeah. We wanted him there. He's still there. So
Uncle Tony and Uncle Joe linking up.
Uncle Joe, listen, you can't go wrong. Just be like, hold that thought. I'll tell you the answer tomorrow when I ask Anthony Fauci. That's all you gotta say about anything. And it'll be like, all right, cool. I'm with that. Yeah. Or either it'd be funny if he was behind him right there, like, hold that thought. They'll turn around like, all right, so I'll do it tomorrow.
Since part of his whole campaign was trust the scientists.
Exactly. Just turn around, look at Uncle Tony. Let Uncle Tony give you the thumbs up. Stand about it. I just have that imagery in my head. I like both of them. So look, that's the vaccine. It's just good to see it out. Governor Hogan, who, I mean, every day is more like, get me ready for 2024. Like, he's standing out as the preeminent adult Republican in the room. And he was talking a lot about Maryland today and the rollout there. I saw him on some shows this morning. So he has y'all under control. But it looks like even on the state levels, they're getting this right. That's what he was saying.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you heard about this, but and maybe I brought it up last week, maybe I didn't. But so starting Thursday, restaurants are going to be closed until January 13th.
Oh, I didn't know the exact date. Wow.
Yeah. So in Anne Arundel County, Baltimore City, PG County, and I don't, the counties are deciding, but yeah, those are some of the big ones.
Wow.
Yeah. So restaurants will be closed indoor and outdoor, but you can still, go and do.
So like a pickup
like it was during the first wave. So,
yeah.
But I thought it was interesting because it was restaurants. Meanwhile, they're extending the mall hours until like 10 o'clock.
Which makes no sense. Yeah.
Which makes zero sense.
Yeah. He need to rethink that. He's been on kind of a curious little up and down on this because when he opened the stadiums back up for games and stuff, I was a little surprised at that. But then he like spazzed about masks, which he should. But the point being, I felt like that was one little kind of hiccup. But his general direction has been more strict, for lack of a better word. The mayor here, she hasn't really, everybody else has been closing down. I feel like DC is going to get to that point if it gets bad here, but I just feel like either whether the data is low and consistent or whatever, we're just kind of like, we're fine. That's what I think. She's kind of like that, Mayor Bowser. So I don't know. I really don't know. It's hard to trust what's happening across the country, but I can speak for my local DC. It's hard. It's hard. The data has been inconsistent. So we'll see. Now, we talked about President-elect Biden. So yesterday, the 14th, today's the 15th, we had the Electoral College finally certify the election.
Now, which is laughable to me.
It is laughable. And let me tell you what else is laughable, Sham. We have talked about networks before when we were talking about not John Lewis, but Elijah Cummings' death and all that and how they cover things. For the most part, I watch CNN and MSNBC. They lean the way I lean. Yesterday was an example of even then, sometimes cable news needs to calm down. They basically treated yesterday like a civics class. And what they did was did you see any kind of news yesterday?
Nope.
What they did was they basically put, it looked like election night. They had a picture of Biden and a picture of Trump. And as the state houses were certifying the Electoral College votes because they were doing it at different times, they would add the tally at the bottom as if it was election night, which is ridiculous. It's like, okay, so there was a time that if you tuned in to CNN yesterday at like 10 a.m., it said Trump 53, Biden 7. Like as if this was like in question. And it was like, okay, guys, I understand. I even understand if you want to actually cover the events and kind of jump around, that's fine. But stop putting the Electoral College graphic up there. Y'all are just slow motioning a victory lap because y'all hate Trump so much. Like, that's not necessary.
Yeah, the Trump hate is real.
Yeah. It's like, what are y'all doing? Y'all are acting like this is in question. Like, stop.
We already know.
We already know what the outcome is. But so yeah, I just had to vent on that because I was like, you should see my face when I turned on the TV and saw it said, it literally said Trump 53, Biden 7. And I'm like, what are they talking about? And then I saw the number change as they kept hopping around the places. I was like, what are they doing? Yeah, it was stupid. But so after that happened, that took basically all morning. Then Mitch McConnell comes out and finally, I don't know if that was yesterday afternoon or this morning, but he finally comes out on the Senate floor and acknowledges Joe Biden has won the election. Congratulates him. Congratulates Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Now, you would think that means it's over, but then Kayne Kennedy comes back out there and she's like, look, I don't know what that dude's talking about, but we're still making our challenges and we're still doing this. You said it a long time ago. Yes, these challenges are stupid and they become weaker and weaker and non-existent. But the danger, and we keep saying it, the danger is that, look, 70 million people voted for 45. Now, a lot of those people had the different reasons, but there's some hardcore people who buy into everything he tweets. And when he keeps coming out here saying the election's not over, what happens is you get the Proud Boys coming into D.C., causing trouble, stabbing people, doing all that. And you get people all over the country threatening election officials and like sending death threats to the governor in Georgia and all that. And, I ain't gonna cry too many tears for Brian Kemp, but they're threatening like people who counting votes, and people might get hurt over stuff like this. So, that's the part where it's like, come on, y'all, like somebody needs to be held accountable for that. You can't keep denying that. But that happened. And then last week, and then that's really the two big stories of the week, the vaccine and this. Last week, Trump tried to take this to the Supreme Court. Sham. If you want to talk about somebody that's laughing, CNN did set this up great. They were like, President Trump's going to take it to the Supreme Court, and his lawyer is going to be this guy. And then they showed Ted Cruz in 2016 just spazzing on him. And they played the whole thing, how he called him a pathological liar, how this and that. They were like, that's his lawyer right there. That's going to take this to the Supreme Court. So good luck on that. And then they showed 126 congressional Republicans in the House signed on to this. Sham, 18 or 19 attorneys general across the country signed up for this. This is the worst, lawsuit, whatever you want to call it. It shouldn't even be in anybody's courtroom. These people got stacks of cases. You talk to me all the time. We've talked on this show. You got stacks of cases on your desk, and you're going to sign up for this? Like it's an affront to anybody who studied law or participated.
And it's crazy because all of these AGs right. were practicing lawyers at some point.
Exactly.
And they know better. It's not like you can just send a case to the Supreme Court and be like, hey, review this. No, it's a whole process that goes for that. Like, so right. Like, it's just amazing to me that they come out here thinking that they are so important that the Supreme Court is just going to be like, oh, pause. We got real diversity issues, federal questions, and all types of things out here that we need to review. We just going to put them aside for this foolery. No.
Exactly.
No.
And I like how the language of the courts, whether it be the federal courts or the Supreme Courts, is getting more and more ham. Like, yo, stop sending these suits to us. Like,
I mean, you got to say it in layman's terms, because obviously, repeatedly dismissing them is not good enough for you. So now I just got to tell you to stop playing and get these little cases out of our face.
Get out of our face with this, man. We're not even going to hear the case. Okay, forget a decision. And Ted Cruz, you're a constitutional lawyer. Again, you've clerked for the Supreme Court before. Stop. So that's been.
They know the rules. It's just elitist behavior. That's all it is.
And it's honestly, it's cowardice. They want their name on the roll. They don't think it's going to go anywhere, but they want 45's hardcore supporters to support them in their next elections. So that's all it's about. Now, speaking of lawyers, and then we're about to wrap this thing up. So there are approximately 35 days until the inauguration, but we still got 45 either, like you said, still trying to fire people or people resigning. Bill Barr resigned yesterday as the Attorney General. Like, I don't understand that. So one or two things happened. Either 45 got mad because he's been mad with him.
Yeah, because he said it wasn't no election fraud. He didn't go on his side.
Exactly. People would think he was going to fire him. Or you decided to resign on your own, which would have been fine because I'd have been like, yeah, you're not firing me.
I mean, it's really no point, though, because
it's no point.
He's not going to be the attorney.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's not going to be the Attorney General anymore. So,
and in his letter when he left, he basically kissed Trump's ass the entire letter. It was ridiculous. It was like, dude, you should just be like, I resigned, man. I'm out of here. Like, y'all ain't tripping. But, I mean, he was crazy. So we've talked about Bill Barr before on the show. That relationship sour real quick. Like the second you don't do something 45 once, he don't like you no more, period. That's really what happened. Because that was his man, for real. And so he's gone. And then finally, Sham, the thing that I think affects our listeners the most out of all this, besides the vaccine, of course, is the stimulus. Now, we got the stimulus. We alluded to it last week. They're kind of getting into government shutdown territory. So you know what's sad this time of year? Every year we got the holidays and we got an impending government shutdown. I feel like it's been like that for the past 4 or 5 years, where the government could be shutting down. I feel like every year we've done the podcast, we've ended on a possible government shutdown. And there is another one heading this year. Now they're trying to get it wrapped up. people really need this, man. A lot of people's benefits are going to be gone after Christmas. And then the big thing is eviction moratorium. I read a story, Sham, that said Florida is headed for, they quoted it as an eviction tsunami in January. If people don't get some money, the moratorium ends at the end of this month. And not just Florida, but they cited Florida as like one of the biggest examples. Landlords, unless they, in their mind, try to work something out, are going to start putting people out like the second after New Year's.
They need to operate like the gas and electric company does. Cause I don't know about like all places, but I know here, like you can't legally turn off anybody's gas and electric during the winter months.
Right. During extreme temperatures and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Like during the winter months, you can't have anybody in the cold.
Yeah.
So my thing is like, well, maybe not in Florida because it don't be cold like that. So maybe I'm just like, I'm missing the point, but well, the point I was making is, for those states that do have cold winter months, like that would be brutal to just be putting people out on the street like that.
I saw some statistics. They went to a homeless shelter, and I think it was still in Florida. During normal months, they get like 600 calls in the call center to try to get people in. They got 1,200 calls a month. People either know they're going to be homeless or already homeless and are already anticipating that. So this stimulus is going to be a lifeline for people until things get back to quote unquote normal. And Congress is out here. I mean, they're still fighting. And actually, now they're saying they're not going to leave until they get something done. But they've said that before. And if they leave and don't get something done this time, this is real bad. In addition to the government workers who we've talked about in the past also wouldn't get paid. Because this is the budget. All of it's wrapped up in the same thing. So that's where we're at with news. Vaccine is awesome. But everything else, and we're gonna have the inauguration next month and all that. But up until then, like our president-elect said, dark winter. This is it. We're looking at it. And notice I ain't getting those statistics because they get worse and worse every week in terms of cases, death, all that.
I'm pretty sure
we don't even need to do that. They know it. They know it.
They know it.
Yep. But that's all political and world news we got for tape.
All right, let's get into some entertainment. So this is a topic that's been showing up on my timeline for like the past couple of days. And I really wasn't paying attention to it when it happened. So Lil Wayne sold his masters for $100 million back in June. And the reason why I got brought up recently is because somebody we all know opened his mouth and brought attention to it. And that's Kim Kardashian's husband.
Oh, I didn't know that is how it came out. Okay.
And also one of his not assistants, but like producers or somebody on his team is suing him for like $20 million for back payment.
Yes, I did see that part. Yeah.
And you know what else I didn't realize is that Rodney Jerkins sold his masters around the same time. Now Lil Wayne sold his to Universal, right? And Rodney sold his to a company called Hypnosis Songs Fund, for which he's also on the board of, so he can oversee what they do with his music.
Okay. So that's basically like liquefying it into a company that you're already involved in.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's actually kind of a boss maneuver. If you're on the board of the company, then you basically sold it to yourself. But okay. I'm with that.
Dark child.
Yeah.
But I don't know how this benefits Lil Wayne though, outside of the fact that he just got $100 million. I mean, that's a big win, but.
So, there's some stories that I'm like, okay, this story is so big, we have to talk about it on the podcast. But then there are other ones like this where I'm like, man, I can't wait to talk about this. And a lot of people have been going back and forth about this. I'm of the mindset that, yes, I understand it's important to have your masters and own them. But at some point, an asset is only as valuable as the person who holds it. Meaning, if Lil Wayne takes that $100 million and has a plan for it, okay, I mean, he's basically like 40 years old. he could take that money and do whatever he wants with it. Now, another thing that came out this week, I don't know if you saw this, and I had forgotten about this. He had like a gun charge based on like him having a gun on a plane.
It was a private plane or something like that. It was like last year or something.
Yeah, and in and of itself, it's dumb, but it's being rolled up because of his record to being like a felony gun charge with the repeat offender. So he could be looking at, look, the article said 10 years. If he gets 10 years for this, that's absurd. But at the same time, because it's a felony, because he has a record, it's serious. It's more serious than, it would appear on its face. And so a thought was that he might be trying to get his affairs in order in case this goes badly. Because people say he already pled guilty or he intends to, and he might be doing some time behind that. So he's trying to get that together. Now, I'm not going to say that's the sole reason and a good reason, but what I am saying is it's $100 million. I understand your masters are your masters. And Lil Wayne has money, but that's not a small amount of money. And if he thought it through, they're his masters.
Yeah, he can do what he wants with them. A couple thoughts I have about this. It took 13 years for him to settle his lawsuit with cash money and get the money that he was actually owed from Birdman.
Sure. Yep.
He probably looked at this as an opportunity to get even more money now because he had to wait so long to deal with the whole Birdman thing.
Right.
You don't know what debts he has. You don't know what's out there.
Exactly.
Whatever. The thing about masters is that people, when you talk about masters, you're talking about the long game. It's like anybody who uses your music, you're talking about royalties, residuals forever, as long as you own those masters. And I think that's the big deal with especially when people have the type of catalog that he has or Darkchild has, or like even like the Beatles, Michael Jackson, when all of that stuff went down. It's like that's like the generational wealth that people always speak about, right? And I think it's like one of those like those big things. Like it's like a privilege and honor to be able to have like a master's catalog like that. And I think some of that, he's selling his masters. People are looking at it like that. And look, like you said, and I agree, it's his masters. He can do what he wants with it. I don't know what deal he cut with Universal. He may still be able to get a little something back from it. Finder fee. I don't know. We didn't see the contract.
The fine print. Yeah.
Right. But look, he probably was like, I had to wait 13 years for my money from Birdman. I can get this money right now. I can do whatever I need to. I probably could set up my kids, what have you. I'm good. So
yeah, and again, I'm all about plans too. Like if you take that $100 million and you have a plan for it and you wanted to get liquid quickly, and I respect everything you just said about like sort of the legacy aspect of it, but hey, I got this $100 million, I can turn it into a bill. And I know how that sounds, but when you have that type of money, it's all monopoly at some point. So, I think what I took issue with, and you and I are both on the same page. When people don't know, they just assume. Like I heard people just outright calling them dumb for doing it. And it's like, okay, you're working on very little information to make that kind of statement. Now,
it's not dumb too, because again, he has his former manager, Ronald Sweeney, suing him for $20 million. Now that could be the suit right now, but if he's got masters, that could become a part of the suit.
Exactly. That's an asset. Like, that's right.
That's another asset. So just, liquidate that shit. So there's very little for someone else to come after.
And actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because based on something you previously just said, isn't the suit in part based on the fact that this guy is saying that he helped them to get the money back from Baby? So he didn't feel like he was compensated for that assistance, meaning to exactly what you just said, if he could turn around and say, okay, I helped you you wouldn't even have these masters or none of this if it wasn't for me. So part of that is mine. Forget the 20 million. So no, that's just, you basically like wrapped your point up in a nice bow. That was awesome.
While we're on the lawsuit issue, and I brought up Kim K's husband, we might as well just roll right into it.
I was going to say, move him up.
Because he had the nerve to open his mouth about it recently. And that kind of caused a stir. He was like, he came out and was like, yeah, Lil Wayne was trying to buy his masters back from Universal. And you know, Charlemagne came out and was like, how that's like big hypocrisy because, you know, Kim K's husband has renegotiated his deal several times and owes his signee Big Sean, because Big Sean's on his Good Music label, millions and ain't paid him. So he's basically like the Birdman in this situation. So how you gonna come at Lil Wayne for trying to do what he need to do to set himself up? Like, get out of here.
I'm gonna say it like this, and I do like, I can't. It would be disingenuous of me to mimic you calling him Kim K's husband, so I'll just say his name. But I do love how you do that. But look, Kanye, like, I put it like this, man. Anytime, and Jay even be like treating people to the left and getting called whatever sometimes. But even time people like Jay look at you like, yo, what is wrong with you? This is the kind of stuff that gets me beyond the bipolar issue and whatever. I feel like he's just a jerk. Why are you even out here like exposing Lil Wayne's business? There's nothing to do with you. Mm-hmm. What does have to do with you is, and this is why I brought this story up, and we don't got to spend no time on it, but the one time I gave Kanye the benefit of the doubt was when he did his little church service, and a lot of people were speaking negatively about it and were saying, oh, it was disingenuous. And I was like, you know what? Just for the sake of just something good, let's just take the man in face value. He did a nice church service. It was a nice thing. What came out now, the choir that was helping him do that, and I guess he's still been doing it, they haven't been paid. And on top of that, so they're suing him. So this is official. They're taking him to court. They're suing him for well over $1 million of unpaid wages. On top of that, what made the suit even worse was that they're saying not only were we not paid in general for what was agreed upon, but we did extra. We basically worked overtime. That's what they said. We worked overtime in these services beyond what was the scope of our original agreement. So we haven't been paid for any of that, whether the original agreement or the extra work we did. Yeah. I mean, and this is, look, it's a suit, so there are two sides to it. Kanye come out and say whatever. But the point being, even when something like that, when I take them at face value and then it gets dragged down into this is a choir. I mean, they're not, you know, I'm going to be willing to say they're not going to have a frivolous lawsuit over money without a reason. They wanted to do this in general. Mm-hmm. And based on the history of both parties, the limited amount I know about this choir, I'm willing to take them at their word over him.
Oh, but there's also other people who perform services that weren't properly compensated either. They had like hair assistants, production assistants, background actors, people performing as audience members. It's like a whole production of people that they're saying that weren't getting paid.
Remember when AB was like front page news and everything about him, and we talked about him on the show, and like as a side note, he was just having all these suits coming out of all over the place because he wasn't paying people. Mm-hmm. This is like a pattern of behavior when you do this.
But want to be challenging Forbes, making sure they know that you're a billionaire.
Yes. Yeah. Run me, mama. Well, okay, pay everybody you're supposed to pay. Yeah, I guess you are a billionaire. You don't pay your expenses and collect your assets. Yeah, I forgot all about that.
So look.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Disney Plus, right? Did you see the trailer for Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Well, that came out today. I haven't seen it yet. Or did it come out yesterday?
Well, Disney Plus sent me a notification about an hour ago.
I was about to say right before we taped this when I saw mine. Yeah.
And I clicked it and it just played the trailer. I am all in.
Okay, good.
So good.
I'll watch it after. But that's one of the things, and you had alluded to it when we talked about it before. So Disney Plus is on a blitzkrieg, and we've been kind of following Disney Plus since it premiered. We both were excited. I've been meaning to ask you on the show. You were very kind of not feeling the rollout in terms of the format. Have you improved on that?
It's a little better. Like it's not as it's much more user friendly. Like it's still the same, like pretty much interface, but the whole idea of searching through 20 movies and then you click on it and then have to go back to number one, they don't do that anymore. So it's less time consuming to find what you want.
Well, I've been on and watching The Mandalorian, so if nothing else. By the way, he finally got to take his mask off. I didn't even want to make it a story. The man took his helmet off for like that whole episode too. It was crazy.
But we don't need to care what he looks like.
It's like, oh, you're still Pedro Pascal, right? We knew who you were.
We knew that.
But anyway, listen. So Disney, they had basically like a quarterly investors meeting on the 10th, and at this meeting, they unveiled what you're usually supposed to do, kind of just let the investors know what your future projects are, how they're coming and all that. But they really went extra with it. They talked about,
they've had time.
They've had time. They talked about Winter Soldier and all that. They talked about their Star Wars plans, Mandalorian plans, all the new Star Wars shows they're going to do. So Rosario Dawson may end up getting her own show. Like all this stuff, they laid it out. The funniest part about this, Sam, we both watched The Wire, right? The part where Marlo meets with the co-op after he killed Prop Joe, and he takes over the co-op, and he says all these announcements, and then at the end, he walks out, and he's like, and the price of the brick going up, and like looks at everybody, and like walks out, they're all upset. I saw a meme where somebody was like, that's what Disney did after their call. Like they basically were like, we're gonna give you all these shows, we're gonna roll out all this stuff, and by the way, we're raising the monthly premium. I think they're raising it by like
$1.
It is, but Sham, when Netflix went up, I was mad. I'm mad. I don't want them. Why y'all increasing the price?
I don't even know how much Netflix costs.
I mean, you know what happened? And I talked about it on the show before. It used to be like $6 or $7. Then they raised it to $12. Then people dropped like flies. And then they apologized and came back and made it like $7 or $8.
I'm going to tell you,
people really don't tolerate that.
They really did a number on me because I had the DVD and streaming plan, and I got both for $11.99 a month. I could rent DVDs and watch streaming. And then when they went through all that thing and raised the prices and they split them, I now had to pay separate for DVD and separate for streaming, and it's double what I even paid for both in the beginning. So I really got the shaft on that one.
So you canceled it, right?
No, I still have it.
Cancel it. I guarantee you, because they'll come right back to you and offer you the lower price. Because they know, you just, I know everybody listening, like, cancel that right now. They will come back with a package that will have all that for like the normal price. You've been grandfathered into a bad deal. That's all that is.
Facts.
So, so cancel it. Cancel it right now. Matter of fact, as you cancel on the phone, they'll be like, oh, we'll change it right now. You know how they do. It's just like cable. Yeah, cable does that. But yeah, so they increased the price. I know it sounds semantics, but I mean, this is the same thing like them charging for online. Like, stop.
And that did not go well.
Yeah. Now what they'll probably end up doing is they're gonna probably absorb Hulu. So I saw this because like It's Always Sunny, which I always watch, they renewed that for 5 more seasons. That show's gonna be on TV for 20 years when it's all over. They're on 15 years now. It's a hilarious show though. But it's on Hulu. All the stuff that's now on Hulu is basically a subset of Fox and FX, which is a subset of Disney. So they're going to absorb that probably. I would say probably before 2021 is out. And Disney is just going to be one platform. You see everything in the whole world, basically. So I think this is their counter move to Warner Brothers. That move by Warner Brothers is still having a lot of repercussions. A lot of directors, Chris Nolan, a lot of actors came out. They're very upset with what Warner Brothers did with the streaming thing because in their contracts, especially in the actors, they get gate money. They get the studio money. Yep. But my point is, okay, I get that. So Warner Brothers had to actually cut them some checks. They were just like, look, we'll just settle it. It take like $2 million or something to get off. My point is, they're doing y'all a favor. Nobody's going to the theater. This is why they're doing this. So just maybe calm down.
They want that gate money for them 10 people that's going to be in the theater.
Yeah. But it's like, calm down, see if it works. Now, what I would do if I was those actors would be like, y'all did this because y'all want more people to subscribe. So replace the gate money in my contract with like a piece of the subscription pie. but they not doing that. So they were just like, take $2 million, get
yeah,
off my face.
Sometimes they just want to be bad.
Yeah, people just want to be bad about stuff. Yeah, so that's that. Sham, we talked about Fox. You brought up a couple episodes ago, Empire and Taraji Henson. Got some news on her a couple days ago.
Fox is passing on it. They're not going to do her spinoff now. So now they're shopping it to some other networks. I think Hulu was one of them, actually.
Hulu was one of them. That's correct. This is why you don't go out there on the radio and tell people what the studio going to do. Let the studio tell people what the studio going to do.
Well, she did sign like a multi-year deal. So
that's true. She has signed it. That's right.
Yeah. So I don't know, how that works, but.
I think the way it works, because we see this sometimes, it's rare, but we see it sometimes. She signed a deal for the show. Fox could still own the show. They're just not going to run it. And then they could sell the show to, Hulu's one of theirs, but they could sell the show to another platform, and then they both split the pie up if it gets picked up. They're just not going to. But I'm assuming she signed that money, they're still going to pay her something. It is what it is. I didn't even know if they started filming or not. But I didn't get anything in the article about what the show would have been about. I mean, we speculated a little bit, whether Lucius is dead at the beginning or whatever. But they're not picking that up. But I think it'll get picked up. Oh, Sam, I don't know if I told you, I have Peacock now.
Yeah, you did tell me, and I was like, "Why didn't you just let me give you my password and stuff?"
Oh,
I was like, well, I already have it for free from my cable company.
I specifically got it to start watching Yellowstone. Yeah, which is good. It's real good. Yeah, I like westerns. You don't like westerns?
Yeah, I don't mess with.
But it's Kevin Costner, and it's a modern western essentially. But it's good though. It's real good. So
I started watching this show called The Flight Attendant. That joint is wild. With
Kaylee Cuoco.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's good though.
First episode will have you stuck.
So how many has it been the whole season?
It's been 7 episodes.
Damn. And it's on HBO Max, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, so they air them release them every Thursday. Mm-hmm. But what they had done up until this point was air like 2 episodes.
Okay.
So that's why it's so many, but it hasn't even been on that long. I think the first episode came on like the week of Thanksgiving.
Wow. I've always liked her. And look, Big Bang Theory is she'll never have to work again after that.
Yeah, it's true. I first remember her from 8 Simple Rules.
Me too.
Yeah.
I remember from 8 Simple Rules, and that would have been a good show had John Ritter not died.
Dang, R.I.P. John Ritter.
R.I.P. John Ritter. And Katie Seagal, who also, to quote one of your phrases, she know how to get a job and keep a job. Mm-hmm. She's been on like 10 different shows, and most of them have been successful. And then Katie Cuoco was on Charmed for like the last 2 seasons.
Last season, yeah.
Yeah, last season or 2. And so I've always liked her even before that. So I think she'll be good. I have not been able to watch the Kim Cattrall show yet, but now has the season ended?
Yeah, it ended, and it's over forever because it didn't get renewed.
Ooh, really?
Yep, that hurt my heart.
You know what though, man? I would think it's hard to get something renewed during the pandemic, man. I feel like that should be one of those things they're keeping the can and then just make another run, maybe next year.
Fans are hoping that like somebody like Netflix or Hulu picks it up.
Take it to a different network, right? Take it to a different platform. What was it called? The
Filthy Rich.
Filthy Rich. Yeah. Nah, I'm a binge it though. Regardless. So now they'll know something. That's what's up. Listen, we both, transparency for the viewers. We both haven't caught up with Power yet. I don't like the preview I saw. I've gotten enough tidbits to know. Maybe it was a Freudian slip where I just didn't want to get around to watching it because I saw enough to be like, wow, okay.
I'm very successful at avoiding these types of spoilers. Like I've not seen anything about it. Mm-hmm. So I'm still going in like all I know is what happened last week.
Yeah, me too. It was very gratuitous. I wouldn't even call it a spoiler. Like somebody went out their way to take a picture of the actual TV screen. I'm sorry, sir. Can we we're in 2020 now. You don't actually have to take a picture of the television. In different ways, you could actually get that image onto your post if you feel that strongly about it. But I'm not excited because it was the male the male teacher, who you did say we probably will see him because obviously the plagiarism story is not going to go away, but I don't need a whole bunch of time. And the picture I saw was kind of wilding, so that's all I would say. If it looked like what I thought it looked like, power's already going off the rails. So I hope I'm very wrong. But other than that, we do have a memorial. Tiny Zeus Lister. Debo.
Yeah, man. Smile like punk.
Yeah, 62. And you know, Sham, I've caught myself doing this on the show a few times where it's like, hey, he was 62. Of course he was.
Yeah. That dude was super young.
Friday in and of itself was 95. Yeah, so that was 25 years ago.
And then if you want to roll it on back to the 80s when he was a wrestler.
He was a wrestler. He was Zeus. And he was in No Holds Barr, which came out in like 88 or 89. So yeah, you know,
No Holds Barred. Yo, you know my favorite part of that movie? When Hulk Hogan grabs the dude out the car and he's like, what's that smell? He's like, Dookie, because he made him shit on himself.
Wow, I've forgotten all about that movie, except that Zeus and Hulk Hogan with it. That's all I forgot.
Oh, that's the only line I remember from the movie.
Like, I remember Zeus from coming in because they wrote him in and Hulk Hogan couldn't beat him.
Nobody can beat him. He was absolutely unbeatable.
He was unbeatable.
It was crazy.
And
it was scary.
And then they were clearly doing that to set up the movie. And the movie did well and all that. But yeah, I think it did.
It did well at home video.
No. I think, I'll put it this way. Wrestling was like the biggest thing in the whole world at the time. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it made the money they needed it to make. But yeah, RP to him. Didn't really get any details. I didn't on the cause.
Well, they still really haven't like said why or how he passed. I mean, people are obviously gonna assume, he died from COVID. No, not necessarily. I mean, past wrestlers die from all types of different various things. So, but dang.
You know what's crazy? And I want Hulk Hogan I'm not wishing any ill health. I do think it's kind of crazy that, like, out of all the wrestlers that we grew up with, Hulk Hogan's still alive and running around. And he should be the first person, if you would think about somebody who either would have a heart attack from steroids or whatever. Like, he just looks like a walking, like, horrible wrestling tragedy. But he's made it past everybody else. Randy Savage, all these people. They're all gone.
They did say he had recovered from COVID, and he said, like, a few days before he died that he felt like he was getting it again.
Oh, so he did have COVID. Zeus. Oh, wow. Well, that's sad. I mean, him saying he has it won't stop those theories. Then that'll inflame those.
Yeah.
But yeah. But again, a lot of times people who have COVID, if they have something else, it exasperates that. So it could be from anything. But yeah, RIP to him.
So you ready to get into some sports?
I am always, because it's been a good sport. We had some big news today.
Did we?
Yeah. So you clearly don't know it yet. So we'll get to it. But one of the feel good ones first, I would like to take the lead on this because
you absolutely should. Because when I saw it on Sports Center, I said, Shocker gonna be all over this.
My school, Vandy, Vanderbilt.
They don't do much right in football, but they did this one.
That's right. And she's been on the team for a couple of weeks now. Sarah Fuller. She did a kickoff last week, and she was the first active player in Division I FBS, whatever you want to call it, by doing that play
at a Power 5.
At a Power 5, excuse me, correct. At a Power 5, which, I mean, Vandy is there by technicality only by being in the SEC, but it's significant. So when she did the kickoff last week, she broke history in that, or made history in that respect. Then this week, she actually scored points by kicking the ball through. Now, ironically,
2 field goals. I mean, 2 extra point kicks.
2 extra point kicks. Now, ironically, you and I talked about the soccer play in the NFL. That was different. And at that time, when we had that conversation, you had correctly pointed out that there were female kickers in college football. So, but I was just so like hung up on why it was a bad idea in the NFL. So I think it's ironic that the one in the major college football conference will come from my college. But we are very proud. All the Vandy people are going crazy. We've been posting and all that. I mean, as you said, our football team sucks. But I do like the thought. I mean, she played on the soccer team. Makes sense. The coach reached out to her. She came in, and I mean, they basically, as soon as they saw her in practice a couple of times, they were like, yeah, no, she can definitely do this. And honestly, she'd probably be the most consistent person on our team. Get her out there, kick some field goals, get us points.
And it was right down the center. So
Exactly.
It was right down the center.
Yeah. It's the best thing we've done on a football field in quite some time. So,
but unfortunately, that's probably her first and last game.
Yeah.
Because COVID is going to keep Vandy from playing Georgia, and that's pretty much the end of the season.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not mad at that because, look, it'd be great to have her continue to do it. But if I'm going to go out on the note, I'll go out on that note.
That's very well said.
And you know, some of the, you know, we know what kind of world we live in on social media because, you know, the school put it out on its page and the immediate response is like, people are just disgusting, man. And it's like, come on, y'all. Why don't y'all grow up? And I'm being polite. But Sarah Fuller, thank you for bringing one good football note to our school and making history by doing so. So that's an awesome story. We're very proud of her. Stick with college football. Dale, you and I both said, you know, we're not really that much into it, but I thought this was worthy. I did see your responses a little bit on social media this week. Some people were talking about this. So I think it engenders a little bit of a discussion. So Michigan and Ohio State had their annual game. It was supposed to be last week. Now, Michigan had already canceled their game against Maryland the previous week for COVID concerns. Mm-hmm. And when they did that, me and Kamal and I were talking. Kamal's a big Maryland fan. And we both were like, okay, this is the precursor to them canceling Ohio State. It will be too on the nose for them to wait until the week of and say, oh, all of a sudden everyone has COVID. Mm-hmm. So they warmed up. They knew what they were doing. So they canceled the game. It's a COVID outbreak in Michigan.
But here's the part that is hilarious and I knew you were getting to this. But
No, you go. Because you feel a certain kind of way about this and I disagree.
And well, yeah. But now that I know a little more about it, I don't feel as ridiculous about it because Michigan was trying to stage a coup of some sort. They were literally trying to say, well, if we don't play this game, then Ohio State will only have had 5 wins in the conference. So that would also make them ineligible to play in the conference championships. They did something that backfired. And now the Big Ten was like, well, Ohio State would have advanced regardless of whether they won or lost against Michigan. So we just going to put them in at these 5 games instead of the original 6 that we suggested. So when I first reacted to it, I was like, oh, here we go. Big Ten just changing rules because they want Ohio State to be, you know. But once I dug deep into the issue, I was like, oh, Michigan need to stop playing because they out here trying to basically change the rules for everybody. Nope.
This was amateur hour sabotage.
Exactly.
Thank you for saying that. And thank you for digging into it, which I know you would do. Look, everything you just said on the nose. Only thing I'll add to it. Did you see PTI when they were talking about this?
God, I wish I had.
Okay. Tony Kornheiser, this is why he is my spirit animal for real. Tony Kornheiser said when Big Ten hadn't even made the announcement yet. And they were like, so what are they going to do? They're not going to have any more games. He was like, what do you mean they're not going to have enough games? The Big Ten made this rule. They can make another rule. He was like, there are two things the Big Ten could do here. They could either get Northwestern or somebody else, which they ended up doing. They could get them to play Ohio State. Or just be like, okay, well, we ran out of people to play Ohio State. But Ohio State's going in there anyway because they're the best team. He was like, the only thing I criticized the Big Ten for is pretending to be something they weren't at the beginning when they were like, oh, we care about the kids and all that. Y'all want the money. He was like, Ohio State's the best school, period. And how Tony Kornheiser talks, he was like, figure out who hasn't played Ohio State and make them play him. And if you can't do that, just let them go in 5 games. And I was like, exactly. That's exactly what he said. And that's exactly it. Like, people like, oh, the Big Ten corrupt. How's it corrupt? They're the best team, and they shouldn't be like shortchanged because their arch rival who cannot beat them, Jim Harbaugh cannot beat them. And Kirk Herbstreit, the only reason I'm even going this ham about it is because Kirk Herbstreit got quote unquote in trouble because he was doing the college football selection show thing when they start, and he was calling that, and he basically said the same thing because it came out right after Michigan did this, and he was like, I mean, who's to say they're not just trying to basically like duck Ohio State and sabotage their season? And then people were like saying that was inappropriate. So he went on and apologized. It was like, I've always been fair to Michigan because Hershey went to Ohio State. He was like, I've always been fair to Michigan. I shouldn't have said that or whatever. But like everybody was thinking it. Like, look, you can't beat them anyway. This would be a perfect way if we just went by the rules to sabotage this season. Stop it. So that's what happened. I'm glad they did that.
Sabotage.
Yeah.
Not.
Hey, by the way, I think Harbaugh he's out of there. I mean, he said he has 1 year left on his contract, so he said he's going to stay. But I mean, if he was smart, there are going to be some openings in the NFL like there are every year. He needs to go back to the NFL. This experiment's over.
Yeah. So let's move on and talk about one of my favorite subjects and one of my favorite people.
Absolutely. Well, talk to me about college ball. I mean, in general, any substantive change from last week?
Nah, not really. The same, like top 10 teams are pretty much the same teams. The biggest update still is that Kentucky still sucks, but and then Duke isn't very good either, which we're going to get into. Right. But yeah. The same old stuff right now. Something happened that generally doesn't happen. Like they did last week, the Big Ten ACC Challenge, and the Big Ten nice and kicked the ACC's ass. But other than that, college basketball is just balling.
They've had, I mean, like every sport, but it's different when it's college. They've had to move a lot of games around and cancel them outright.
Yep, outright.
Yeah. So this is going to be weird.
Which kind of leads to something that has been a topic of discussion, and that's Coach K's concern about playing non-conference games.
Right.
And just basically saying, we should cancel all non-conference games and just play within our conference, which is essentially what college football did. But, whatever.
They sure did. Right.
But Alabama coach Nate Oates was like, oh, you think he would be wanting to cancel non-conference games if he hadn't just had 2 of the worst of the season in non-conference. Interestingly, after the loss to Illinois, he came out and said it the next day. And I was like, Coach K, why are you doing this? People going to say that you're doing this because your team sucks. And then lo and behold, this guy comes out. But here's the thing. It's not like non-conference losses were a big deal to him before. And I think what people don't remember is Coach K was very vocal about not pushing the college season ahead, just like Rick Pitino was. Like, not as vocal as Rick Pitino,
I was about to ask that.
Not as vocal as him, but he has shown concerns the entire time about what COVID does. Not just, how it can spread and is not safe health-wise, but he's just kind of like, look, a lot of these kids didn't even play basketball for months. The only teams, and it shows, the only teams right now that are actually playing well together are ones that are full of sophomores, juniors, and seniors because they played together last year and some even the year before. Like, this isn't one of those times where you have like a whole bunch of freshmen coming in and just taking over college basketball because they didn't get the benefit of playing all throughout the summer and, all that kind of stuff. So, and it really does show. Some of the games that I've watched, like, it's been like just bad basketball. But the mature teams are looking really good.
Yeah. And I think you kind of wrapped up everything I want to say about it in the sense of, or the spirit of everything I want to say. I think the concern with Coach K was the timing of these comments. Now, if he had been vocal about it before, I'll just put it this way. It certainly was not publicized as much nearly as Pitino. Pitino was the face of like, we shouldn't be playing.
Oh, yeah. He was on the mountaintop.
Right. So the only thing I'll say to that point is Coach K is big enough where if he agreed with that, those two voices lent to that argument would have went a long way. Now, I'm not saying they wouldn't have played, but the point being it would have been a bigger story because it was already big. It was a big story in the sense that it was framed as Pitino said this, like blah, 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 blah. So it did look, and if that was your instinct, that certainly was mine and everyone else's. It did look a little self-serving for you to come out with these comments after losing the game. Regardless of the history. I mean, it's like, okay. I mean, honestly, you're Coach K. Like, if you really didn't believe in playing those games, even if you believed in having a season, you'd be like, man, I'm not playing those. And what is Duke? Nothing. Because they'd have been like, man, we support Coach K. Or like the NCAA going to do about that. Right. If Coach K really didn't want to play those games, he wouldn't have played them. I'm not saying he wanted to play them. My point is, if he felt that strongly, he wouldn't have. And there would have been nothing they could do about it. And it would have lent a lot to that story. But that being said, it doesn't mean he's wrong. he's right. He's right.
He's not wrong. Because, I mean, part of, the subject of the conversation was like, look, the next 6 weeks are going to be terrible. It's already bad. Like with the trends of how the numbers are going up. And, we didn't talk about, we purposely did not say what the numbers are, but it's going black.
It's horrible.
So for him, it's like, the vaccine's coming out and all these shots to be given, but maybe we should take a pause on the season until, that's mainly his thing. Like maybe we should pause it and then restart it in February or something.
Yeah. And we've talked about pausing and restarting. That doesn't work in college.
No, it doesn't.
In the pros, especially, again, really what we said was football is the only sport you can do that. Like, because they control the ratings. Everywhere else, pro football. But like college sports, the kids are supposed to be there for another reason as
They're supposed to be in school.
Right. Now, if school is paused, that's something different, which it was for a while. But if they got exams and all that, y'all are just wilding out. Like, stop.
Yeah. But to round that out, the coach of the University of Alabama did come back and apologize. And,
I wish you had seen PTI when they talked about him. And that... Look, don't you binge PTI sometimes when you don't see it for a while?
Yeah, I do. I got like 4 episodes to watch.
Watch it. You will. Tony Kornheiser, you know how they go above time? He went like a minute above time about this and went Tony Kornheiser about what Coach K should do to this guy.
Yeah, he loves Coach K. He does. He doesn't take that.
He was not having this dude come out here out his mouth out the blue talking trash about Coach K. So that's my teaser for you. Watch the segment. I was dying. It was one of those segments I rewound and watched it like twice after that.
All right. So let's throw in let's flavor this with a little bit of MLB news. So the Cleveland baseball team.
Well, they are still the Indians.
They are going to drop their name.
What do you think about that? So they're going to hang on to it for a year. Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a problem with the name. And maybe, I guess change it to the Cleveland Native Americans.
Nah.
I don't know that this name is a racial slur like, the Redskins was.
Yeah, I got you. I think the problem with the Cleveland situation was the logo with the name. The logo was...
Well, just change the logo.
Well, they did. They've already done that.
Yeah, they just got the big C.
They got the big C, right. I think it's been associated too long. Like, that logo was horrific. It was worse. It was the equivalent of the Redskins for logos. Like, it was bad. I told you I watched the show Yellowstone, and it's out in the West, and it spends a lot of time on reservations because that's part of the show. And you listen, even the word Indian. Look, Native Americans, they embrace it, or not embrace it, but they've gotten used to it. Like, look, if you just want shorthand, if we don't got time to be PC, we'll say it. But it's still wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I think I like the move. I just don't like taking a year to do it, unless they looked at the Washington situation, was like, well, we're not going to be caught flat-footed without having a name, so we'll change the name. We're telling y'all we're changing it. We're just not going to be rolling out here without a nickname. So I guess that was the logic, and they'll probably give themselves a year. You know what I think more teams should do in general, regardless of whether it's a social issue or not? Poll the fans. Ask them what they want the name to be. And go that route. Now, if the fans come back with something dumb, be like, thanks for your participation. But, at least get their involvement. You know what I'm saying? So they could take a year to do something like that. I think it'd be a good thing. But yeah, they announced that today. So I thought that was significant. We thought that was significant because of what's going on here in Washington. So good for them.
No, I'm going to do a little more research on that because I hear that the word is offensive, but I want to know why.
Yeah. And trust me, even let me say it. I didn't say offensive. I just don't think it's right. I'm not trying to couch. I just want to make a distinction.
You said it at all.
Yeah,
As you're talking, I'm scrolling the interwebs, and it is a very offensive word. And I know that over time people have said, no, you don't say that, because there is an actual group of Indians who are from India. Right. And then you have Native Americans, which, I'm like, okay, there's one and there's the other, but why are Native Americans so offended by the word Indian? So I would like to educate myself and figure that out.
And I can't speak for Native Americans. What I'll say is, it's based on a mistake by, the conquerors. They thought they were in India and they started calling them Indians, I don't want my people to be based on a mistake.
I feel that too.
Yeah. And, that's the short version. Native Americans, that's Rashaka's short version based on his limited understanding of that. But yeah, like you, now I'm encouraged to do more research, which I will. So there's that. Man, flying through this thing. We got week 14. Sham.
Yeah, week 14 has been interesting.
You almost probably feel like I'm trolling you to the point when the Birds were doing badly that we wanted to start with the Birds. But I'll start with the Birds now because they had a good win. They
did have a very good win. They beat the Saints, who are now 10-3 because of us, which is interesting though, because we've had this conversation before. Every time we play the Saints, I'll be like, we're just going to lose to the Saints because we just don't beat them. So, and you were watching your game, and I politely texted you and said, I'm about to kick you off the Sunday ticket.
Yeah. Guys, we've alluded to it before. We'll outright say it. We shared a Sunday ticket. Sham has politely allowed me to use her Sunday ticket.
But generally, I'm not at home when the game is on. So you've been having, just free will with it, which is fine. I'm just glad it's being used. But on that particular day, I was like, oh, I'll be home when this game is on. And first things first, I thought that it was actually going to be on TV. I thought I saw on my DVR that it was being recorded. But then when I realized that it wasn't, I was like, well, I'm just going to check it out for a few minutes. But I didn't know it was going to be a good game. I thought, I was going to look at it. They was going to suck. I was going to be mad. And I was like, all right, Shaka, you can go back to watching your game. But it was actually a very good game, and which led to a lot of talk about what to do with Carson Wentz. And one of the perspectives that I really enjoyed hearing was, because the question was, why is it that any other quarterback that plays for the Eagles comes in, runs the plays, looks effective, gets the job done, but Carson Wentz does not. So apparently this kid has not been they'll call plays for him and he just won't run them. he'll just go out there and do whatever play he feels like doing at the time.
So it's not even audible. He just doesn't even take the original play.
Exactly. And it looks like it. Now that you know what I'm saying? Like, no, seriously, it does.
Yeah. No,
he
I'm
looks like he literally doesn't know what he's doing out there at times. And there are times when you're like, damn, that's the Carson Wentz I remember.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just very peculiar to me that Nick Foles would come in, they would design plays for him, he'd execute the plays, and it looked like he should have been out there the whole time. And that's basically what they did for Jalen Hurts on Sunday.
So how
they
did this
developed a game plan for him?
Yeah.
And he did it.
So how did this information about Carson Wentz come out?
So I was watching First Take.
Yeah.
And Ryan Clark was on there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the one that basically was like, yeah, this is what he's doing.
So he's been talking he's been talking to people in there.
Yeah.
Here's my question, and I don't know if Ryan Clark answered this, and this is maybe a beyond today question. Was he doing that when Frank Reich was there? Because he wasn't doing the stupid stuff that we've been seeing him do lately since Frank Reich. Before Frank Reich left, he was not doing that kind of stuff.
And I thank you for saying that, because I think, and I've said this to multiple people since Sunday, that, and I've said this on this podcast, like,
many
he
times.
has not been right since Frank Reich went to Indy. And I even said that in a group I was in. Actually, it was a Tony Kornheiser group that I'm in. Mm-hmm. And the guy said to me, well, he's 44 touchdowns with 14 interceptions, or 48 and 14 before this year. So, and that was after Frank Reich left. I was like, the numbers can tell you whatever they want to tell you.
Right.
But what he does not do, he holds the ball in the pocket. He gets stuck in the pocket.
Stupid sacks.
He takes stupid sacks. The numbers can tell you whatever they want to tell you, but the intangibles have not been there since Frank Reich left. And if he's going to get traded, and if somebody's willing to take that expensive ass contract, you need to go right back to Indy with Frank Reich. But Frank Reich said today that Phillip Rivers got like 5 years left in him. So I don't know how that's going to work.
I saw him. Well, if he plays the Raiders every week like he did last week, then yes, he does. He played for 10 years.
Shout out T.Y. Hilton.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I feel like ever since you've been complaining about him, he heard that and then decided to torch my boys up and down the field. But he ain't even have to hit you. Our defense is terrible. We'll get there. By the way, earlier when the ambulance came by, I was about to be like, is that you or me? And both that time and this time, as soon as I was about to ask, I saw the lights come out the window.
Ain't me.
Definitely, yeah, the ambulance don't come rolling down there like that.
Nope.
Tuesday night lights, shout out. But look, the Jalen Hurts, I'm happy for him, and I hope that this works out in the sense of he gets good tape and gets good responsibility. I know that puts y'all, in kind of a question mark in terms of what to do with Wentz. I've heard Peterson get criticized a little bit this week in terms of, because he's very devoted to Wentz, and it was almost like he reluctantly put Hurts in and reluctantly wants to keep him in. But if Hurts is out there giving y'all victory, the division is not out of reach by any stretch whatsoever. Y'all play Washington in the finale in 3 weeks. And I don't know who y'all have coming up before that, but point being, a lot can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
We play Arizona this weekend.
Oh, well, that's a tough game.
Yeah.
What do you think about that one?
They play the Seahawks, I think.
Who's that?
The Washington team? I think they play.
Oh, yeah. They play Seattle. Yes, they do. So a lot can happen. Like a ridiculous amount can happen between now and then. But good to see Jalen Hurts out there. He had an interesting college career, so just good to see him. Good to see him out there.
He went from one great team to another.
Yeah.
And was successful.
Yeah. And it was a journey in that process. So it's just good to see him be successful. A couple other wrap-ups for last week and then looking forward. Rams. I mean, look, the Rams are balling.
They are balling.
And we've said it. The Rams are back. Now, they're not rolling through every single team 50 to damn 10 like they were during the season they went to the Super Bowl, but they crushed the Patriots. So the Cam experiment up there is, I'm not going to say the Cam experiment is over, but the Patriots, they got to go back to the drawing board. It's 6 and 7.
They had a lot of challenges. this year. So
so
the fact that they even won that many games,
Yeah. So it's just a tough year. It's going to be a tough year for Cam. A lot of that's going to be placed on him, and some of that he deserves. I don't like the play calling. I haven't talked about that. Their defense has been up and down. Josh McDaniels is out there running Cam like this is 10 years ago, Cam. Like, oh, well, you're big. Let's just run the ball a lot. No, like, this man's hurt. If you brought him up there, I know Cam ain't been the most accurate person, but my point is he has won an MVP. He is a good quarterback, or can be. Coach him. Don't just, whatever. So, fine. The Bears destroyed the Texans. So, Romeo Crennel, they're 4-9. So, it's the classic Romeo Crennel. He has a ceiling. He'll get them to 5 wins. And then, they'll think about giving him the job, but they shouldn't. The Bears are 6-7. That doesn't mean anything. Matt Nagy is still on thin ice up there, and they're not going to win that division. They're not going to the playoffs.
I mean, you can't lose like 6 straight and then win 1 game. And
exactly.
You're going to keep a job.
Exactly. One train that I think we both maybe a little bit relieved is in it. The Cardinals nice and told the Giants, who told y'all were good? Like, the Giants were running around and thinking they were good because they won, 2 straight? Yeah. They lucky they even scored that touchdown. That was looking like a shutout completely for most of that game, 26-7. Now, here's an interesting little side note if you want to laugh. My Dallas Cowboys friend texted me during the game, and he had been, for various reasons, not really engaged with the news over the course of the week. So he was like, yo, I'm about to text our other Giants friend and clown him for them shutting out. And I said, ho, before you do, try to be a good friend. You do know that they flexed out the Cowboys game next week for the Giants game. So I suggest you do not poke that bear because that is very embarrassing. And you and I have talked about flexes in the past. Usually when they flex a game, it's like a day or 2 before, maybe 3 or 4. They flexed that Cowboys game out. That game is next week.
They say let's not fool around.
Yeah, let's not play games. Get that game out of there.
We can. Let's just stop playing and change it now.
Let's change it right now. They flexed that game out damn near 2 weeks in advance, damn near 14 days in advance. And I told him, I said, listen, if you text him on this game by itself, be prepared for a firestorm. And then he looked it up and was like, yo, thank you for warning me about that. He was like, I didn't know that. He's like, I knew we got flexed out. I didn't know that he put the Giants game in there. You saved me a lot of trouble. So that's the only thing there. So yeah, the Giants, I mean, they're 5-8. So theoretically, they are still in the mix like everybody else, but they're 1 game behind the leader who we'll get to in a minute. Vikings, Buccaneers, Kirk Box, they're 6-7. So for all intents and purposes, I mean, they're still kind of in the hunt, but that was a big game that they lost to Tom Brady and them. Listen, the Bucs are 8-5. That is an excellent record. I wish I was 8-5 right now.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it too.
Be winning the division.
I'm still very concerned about some of these throws from Tom Brady, man. Like, that game was not easy to watch. That was you signed on the Sunday ticket late. That was an early game, and I'm sorry, that one was on network actually. That's how I was able to see a lot of that. And some of those throws is like, man, what are you doing? Seriously, like, stop. The Cowboys crushed the Bengals 30-7. I mean, if they want to feel good about that, that's fine. I mean, you should anytime you put up 30 points. Cowboys are 4-9. The only news out of them, Stephen Jones came out this week and gave Mike McCarthy not only the whatever you want to call it, the safety vote, like he's going to be our coach, but also guaranteed they're not going to fire him like after the year either. So
I don't think they should. I think that, this was an interesting season.
Yes.
All around.
Correct.
Get that man some time to prove, I mean, he's a good coach. I think he deserves to stay another year. Yeah.
Mike McCarthy ain't tell you to pay Ezekiel Elliott. And listen, I was one of the main people for that, but he also ain't telling Ezekiel Elliott to go out here and fumble the ball all over the place.
Yeah, I don't even know who this kid is this year.
Right. Like, there are a lot of things Mike McCarthy is not responsible for. So at least give him another year at minimum.
Dak gets injured. You supposed to put the team on your back.
Right.
You out here on your back because you fumbling too damn much.
Yeah. Now, he did bring in Mike Nolan, and that defense has looked horrible, but they also don't have a lot of talent. So, Broncos beat the Panthers. Carolina, I hadn't really been paying a lot of attention to them over the past, like, maybe 3 or 4 weeks because I've been, kind of saying, oh, they're having a good season. They're not having a good season. They're 4-9, and they just lost to the Broncos. That being said, it's better than last season, which was an absolute dumpster fire for them, which is why, he shouldn't have been fired when he was fired, but Ron Rivera got fired, and Olsen left, and a bunch of other people left. But, I feel bad for Bridgewater. I think he's playing okay, but they're not a good team. They need to rebuild.
They can't close games.
Yeah.
They play really well, like, in spurts. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They play and like they look like a great team in spurts, and you'd be like, oh, they balling. And then like, they'll do something ridiculous and they'll end up losing the game. But like if they could play like a complete game, like all 4 quarters, they would be fine.
Agreed. And your point beyond this, they took Kansas City to the brink a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. And they do. They don't lose by a lot. They don't. Like their losses be like by a touchdown or less.
Actually, that's how they lost us on the last play of the game. Mm-hmm. Chiefs Dolphins. So look, at first the Chiefs were running away with this. The Chiefs were running away with this, but then the Dolphins came back. The Dolphins are very good. They have a lot of heart and character. But Kansas City held on, so they won that by 5 points. We played the Dolphins after we play Chargers this week, but whatever.
If y'all don't beat the Chargers,
whatever. We barely beat the Jets. If we don't beat somebody, whatever, like people should be circling us. Tennessee bounced back because that was a bad look a couple weeks ago, but they bounced back against Jacksonville.
Anybody who plays Jacksonville should win that game.
Yeah, smashed them. Yeah, Jacksonville is 1-12. Their only victory is against the Colts, but that was week 1 when nobody knows anything. The Jets lost 40-3. Okay, so let's just take a minute. The Jets, because we're in the next game anyway. The Jets promptly basically gave us the game. Greg Williams gave us the game. That's why he got fired. Talked about that. Then they go out. And I said at the time, that was the closest the Jets are going to go to winning the game was against the Raiders.
So then they're nice and turn around and get smashed by the Seahawks.
Precisely. They've given up. Adam Gase, he should be fired before the end of the season, but he won't. Fine.
He should not be employable in the NFL.
Yeah. And look, I stuck up for Adam Gase when we talked on the show for his time in Miami, and you were like, look, whatever, like he's going to be trash in New York. So I didn't say he was going to be good, but you certainly had more of a bead on that than I did. And this is ridiculous what's happening up there.
Gase trash.
Yeah, trash. So Seattle just needed that. They're 9-4. They're tied with the Rams. So that's going to come down to the wire in that division. That's a good race between those two teams. Colts, Raiders. We talked a lot about Frank Reich. Frank Reich has done a phenomenal job with that team, with the Colts. I always think about how I was talking about the Colts like they were some hard luck team at the beginning. No, they're very good. They're 9-4 after beating us. We didn't lay a finger on Phillip Rivers. We didn't lay a finger. The Jets last week, the Falcons before that, this week, people were running the ball all over us, 200 yards a game. So with all that being said, the one thing we did that was good this week is we fired Paul Gunther essentially immediately after that game. We fired our defensive coordinator. This is the same defensive coordinator I was kirking on the very first episode of the show. That's how long he's been our defensive coordinator. The same one who said Khalil Mack needed to catch up to this game. It took us to week 14 where we basically lost to a head-to-head team that we needed to beat to get into the playoffs because they're fighting for the 7th seed too. We're going to wait till after that game to fire him. Sham, we should have fired Paul Gunther after we got blown out by the Falcons and after we lost on the last play of the game to the Jets. We should have, won on the last play of the game to the Jets, even though we won the game because he did everything he could to have us lose it. That's why I'm mad. People are like, oh, you should be happy. Why am I happy? We waited 13 weeks too late, 2.5 years too late. But whatever. So that's that. Packers, Lions, they didn't even smash Detroit. They only beat them by a touchdown. Detroit has 5 wins, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
But Green Bay's 10-3. They're going to win that division. Falcons, Chargers, trash ball, but 20-17 Chargers. But I guess, Sham, I'm not allowed to call the Falcons trash anymore because, they destroyed us.
They're still trash.
Yeah, they are trash.
Just have a good day.
Yeah. Now we get to some interesting ones. Washington, San Fran. So no Jimmy G, of course. We have Nick Mullen in there. And Washington, look at them, 23-15, beat the 49ers. Chase Young, was just a monster out there.
Look, my trash Eagles beat the 49ers, so yeah, it's not much to say there.
It's not. The only significant thing about that, Washington is now 6-7.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been winning games all these weeks, and we've been kind of like, whatever. Division's trash, and we understand that. But they won 4 straight games.
That's going to end on Sunday.
Against Seattle? Mm-hmm. Well, I'll put it this way, though. Here's the nugget on that.
The defense has been good.
Washington's front 7 is excellent. Chase Young, especially. But Kerrigan, all of them. Seattle's O-line it's never been good. And this year's brought that out. Russ is smart, so he'll run around and stuff like that. But the point being, they're not good. So if those two things come to a head, Washington can exploit that. So that's the only way they can win the game, but I do still like Seattle for the game. Correct. We already talked about Saints and Eagles. Pittsburgh.
Yeah, let's
Buffalo.
talk about some good teams.
Pittsburgh, Buffalo. Buffalo beat Pittsburgh. So Buffalo is 10-3, Pittsburgh's 11-2, but they've lost 2 straight.
Pittsburgh has clinched.
They have clinched, but they're based on the next game we talk about. But Pittsburgh needs to get this ship right. Mike, that's why I like Mike Tomlin. He saw this coming.
Mm-hmm.
He saw this coming when they have been played. They played badly against Dallas. They played badly against Baltimore. And after the Baltimore game, he basically spazzed on them, even though they won, because he saw this coming.
They out here resting on pretty.
Exactly. Then they lost to Washington. Now they've lost to Buffalo.
Well, the good news is they have the Bengals next week, so that could turn them back to the winning column.
It better. Yeah.
They need to, because the Bengals are trash.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the game last night.
Yes, ma'am.
The Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens.
What a game.
So Baltimore was 7-5 going to that game, and Cleveland was 9-3?
Yep.
People are calling that the best game of the year. I probably wouldn't stretch it that far, but it was,
Yeah, it's low-hanging fruit because it was a high score and because, there were some interesting things happening, but that was not good football from beginning.
No, hashtag defense matters. Like, wait, there's no defense in that game. It was like 47-42.
Yeah. Now, you and I have our different thoughts about stuff like that, but the score in and of itself doesn't make it a good game. We both agree on that. And look, it was bad for a while, like especially in the first half. Now let's ask a couple questions. What was wrong with Lamar Jackson? Like in terms of why did he go back and what he came out? Because no good story lasts for long. Today it's all about
he just had cramps. That's what he said after in the post game, because somebody asked him too, like, did you just have to go to the bathroom? He was like, nah, I really did have cramp. He was dehydrated. He said he was back there drinking like electrolytes or whatever he was doing back there.
But everybody was like, but why did you go to the bathroom and do that? You could have did that in like the training room. Like if you had to take a dump, just say that. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people think that. What's your thought?
He's saying he didn't. So
you believe him?
I ain't gonna call the man a liar.
Okay.
I wasn't in there.
I mean, yeah, I definitely don't want to be in there for either one, but
right.
Yeah, but that was kind of the humorous flaw. So Lamar Jackson played. One correction from last week that I felt was important because I don't want to try the young man like this. RG3 was actually injured in the game that we talked about with Baltimore before that he started. I say he got benched. He did not get benched technically. No,
he got benched with an injury.
He got hurt. He got hurt with excuse me. I think it was the hamstring or whatever. What happened was he was tweaking and he was holding it. He came out or they punted or whatever. He came back in the next series and he was limping around, and then he came back out. Now I would feel more bad about that mistake, but then he comes out and says that he thought they would have won. They would not. He was playing badly before that injury and obviously during it. So he needs to calm down. But because of that, and Lamar Jackson was over COVID, he's back in the mix yesterday. Cool. So Lamar Jackson comes out. He has his cramps or whatever. He comes out. The other quarterback, I forget his name, comes in. He gets hurt. His knees. So then Lamar Jackson comes out of the tunnel. People make comparisons to Willis Reed and all that. Again, you haven't watched PTI, but I could tell you Tony Kornheiser has some problems with that comparison because he's a Knicks fan. But no, I said it. I was like, oh, he trying to do a little Willis Reed situation. Paul Pierce, that kind of thing. Comes out and delivers the game for them. Cleveland, we've been saying it all year. Cleveland's better than I want to give them credit for, but they're fine. They're fine. It was a good game. Tough loss, division game. Both of those teams, Cleveland will go to the playoffs unless they have an epic collapse, but I don't see that happening. Baltimore put themselves back in the mix to go to the playoffs, but they have some work to do, though. Definitely. Their defense is not playing well.
No, they're not. They are not they haven't been the Ravens defense as they were, like the great Ravens defense, but they were actually playing decent. But the last few games, they've been looking crazy out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy. We're definitely not going to go game by game because we don't have time for that for the upcoming week. My boys play on Thursday. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, well, he won't need Sunday ticket. One thing that I would like to say about the Ravens, and I said this last night on my timeline, I got a little pushback for it, but the Ravens know how to find like the best kickers in the universe.
Oh, absolutely.
They had Matt Stover for all those years, and then they come right back around and end up with Justin Tucker. It's like y'all just know how to find them, and they're always almost perfect all the time.
Interesting little nugget on that. The last football game I've gone to in person was when the Raiders played the Ravens here in Baltimore. And this 2 or 3 years ago now. And it was
that
close.
The one Ice Cube was at and they had that big fight in the stands and they sent the dude to shock trauma?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I was nowhere near that fight, but I remember hearing about it after. Like, oh, wow, that happened. I'll say this. That game was close enough where if Baltimore, I think we beat them by 2. So Baltimore had the ball at the end of the game. And the fans around me, because it was in Baltimore, the fans around me were like, all we got to do is get this ball to midfield and Justin Tucker will kick it. Like, Facts. Game over. And, and they were right. like they were talking about like a 60 whatever yard field goal, but they were like, we don't care about that. Like, all we got to do is get a little bit past midfield, like game over. But Joe Flacco couldn't do it, which is one of the reasons why he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
But
all they had to do was position him.
Exactly. But I remember that, and I remember being like, this so right. Because he was good back then. Mm-hmm. He was good back then. So yeah,
he's amazing. I appreciate him even more because he's a classically trained opera singer and he has a beautiful voice. So
really?
Yes. He's he's a baritone.
Wow. Nice. That's a good tidbit. All right, so
week 15, we kind of like teased it. Your Raiders are playing on Thursday. My Eagles are playing Sunday at 4:30 versus Arizona.
Yeah, big game both ways. For mine, I mean, we always have problems with the Chargers division game. I mean, who cares what the record is? It's going to be a hard game. A couple other big games. Let's see, a couple of really snoozes actually. Not really good week in terms of just two good teams. I'm rolling through. Patriots, Dolphins. That's not two good teams, but that's going to be a hard game. The Patriots want to end the season on a high note, and that's going to be evenly matched. Dolphins are 8-5, Patriots 6-7. Let's see. Other than that,
the best game this weekend is going to be Chiefs Saints.
Chiefs Saints, yeah.
That's all you need to know about football this Sunday.
Chiefs Saints,
because the rest of them are many of them are inconsequential.
Yeah, that's a possible Super Bowl preview.
Right,
that's at 4:30.
49ers Cowboys. Why do we need it? Jets Rams. Rams are going to go.
Hey, look, which is exactly what the NFL thought, because that's the game they flexed out and put the Browns and Giants, which should not be a good game. The Browns should beat the Giants.
too, because the way the Browns are playing, they should smoke the Giants. The Monday night game we already said was still Bengals. Horrible. Chicago, Minnesota. Yeah, I mean Minnesota is kind of teetering on the wild card, but
yeah, I mean they both have the same record, so there should be at least a competitive game.
Bucks Falcons, nah. I mean, Bucks are playing trash. I mean, it's a division game, so anything can happen, but I doubt that the Bucks will lose. The Texans, Colts need that win so they can stay in the wild card race. Mm-hmm. The Titans play the Lions. The only thing I say about that is the Lions find a way to win games that don't even make sense. And I can see them beating the Texans just on some silliness. Which
I'm cool with now that Patricia's gone.
Right. But other than that, I mean, again, the one that everybody needs to be watching is 4:25 on Sunday, Chiefs Saints, and they should have flexed that to a night game.
Correct. Absolutely. Now, real quick, now after NFL, I forgot to put this on outline, but we need to talk about a couple of things. NBA sauce in the week.
Yeah.
We got Giannis today was the big news I was going to say.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know about that. He got the biggest contract in history.
Correct. Signed a Supermax, stay with Milwaukee. And you know what was cool about that? When he made a statement, this goes beyond a business relationship, it seems like, with Giannis and that team.
Oh, he loves that city.
Yeah, and the city. But like with the team, he really treats it like, look, you guys took a chance on me, which is like took a chance. I mean,
you got to
take them chances.
He's a little black kid from Greece by way of Africa.
Yeah,
and I'm sure when he grew up, he didn't think that he was going to have opportunities like this. I think he's just so grateful.
No. I understand the language. I'm not clowning him. I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it seems unheard of because he's like one of the best players in the world.
Objective standpoint, like that was a monster. Like, what are we talking about?
Get out of here!
They take too many chances. Yeah, that was a calculated risk on their part.
I mean, yeah, but I understand him being appreciative and showing his appreciation to the team.
Of course,
and honestly, that's what this is the thing that we want.
Yes,
we want people to be rooted into their organizations and their cities, and we want to see them bring their teams to the top. Like all this moving around shit, all this James Harden stuff, like, or what he trying to do.
So James Harden is out of control. He showed out every strip club in America. He finally showed up to work. He's ostensibly playing in the preseason games. John Wall has done everything possible to try to be like, hey man, I really do want to play with you. Let's try to see if this can work. But James Harden is not having it.
Look, if I'm John Wall, I'm like, man, fuck you.
Right, which I think John Wall is I think he understands that's what people think about John Wall anyway. So he's trying to take and plus I thought they were cool. That's the thing that kind of baffles me about
But is anybody really cool with James Harden?
I mean, you would think, I guess not, because I thought him and Russ were cool, and then he was like, I don't want him here. See, this is my problem with him. Oh, bring somebody else in here and help me. Bring my man in here. And then it's like, no, get him away from me. Oh, no, I want to go. Like, what is James Harden? Like, for real. But the thing is, so maybe he goes to Philly, maybe he goes to Brooklyn, who knows? But they got to work out some big deals to make that happen.
I believe he wants to be back with Daryl Morey. But I thought that the Nets came out and was like, nah, we're not doing that.
I mean, not for what he would want or not for what they would need to give up to get him. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. Honestly, I don't see a path to get a good deal for him period, for the places he wants, because you would have to like gut the team to get him.
Is he his own agent? Like, who the hell is his agent?
Like, I don't know, man. Who knows?
He out here talking about y'all gonna send me here. No, we not.
Yeah,
like, what are you?
Yeah, he just out here think he do what he wants. You see, that's the LeBron James effect. People don't understand. What LeBron James did is not normal. and people think it is. Like these guys think that, I could just maneuver this. I like how San Antonio treated Kawhi like, man, we'll send you where we want. Now, it ended up working out well for him. But even then, he didn't want to go there.
Nah. That's why he didn't stay.
Yeah.
He always wanted to be in LA.
Yeah, you're not gonna go where you think you're going, if that's what you're thinking. So but he's wilding. But it was good to see about Giannis. And the season starts in a week. In general, Kevin Durant, your boy, Duke guy down in New Orleans. Gosh.
No, Zion. Which one? It's about 5 of them down in New Orleans. Oh, no, they shipped out Jahlil Okafor, so he's not there anymore.
They both had their preseason debuts last night. And they both, by both, I mean, I'm sorry, Zion and Durant. And they're both coming off injuries, of course, but they both look good.
Yeah, Durant played 24 minutes yesterday. Yeah.
Zion looks a little bit slimmer. I'm happy about that.
Yes, we know.
It was a concern.
I know.
Yeah, so I'm happy. Yeah, he needs to keep that trend. He
was going to naturally get slimmer anyway because the season's longer and there's a lot more work and effort. So,
well, you can't take things for granted. Look at like Big Baby and people like that. So,
God,
you don't want to see it. You just don't want to see it go the wrong way. So good. But other than that, Sam, how we feeling?
Feeling like this episode 89 is about to wrap.
Who's a good 89?
I read a couple and I was like, I will not be calling this the Dicka episode. No.
Dicka? Oh, yeah. Dicka is so racist now. It's not even funny. Yeah, I think he's like for real lost his mind.
Yeah, I don't know what he doing.
Yeah. But, all right. Well, was Isaac Bruce 89? No, I think 88.
Alfred Davis?
No. All right. Yeah, 89 is not. 88 was easy, but 89 is not that easy. So we'll think of that. But good episode. I'm just really excited. Holiday season. Hopefully by next episode you'll have your gift. We'll have some guests lined up. We'll have some fun. We'll do whatever. I'm just really excited. It's just good to do this.
All right, cool. This wraps up this episode of the Stop Playing Podcast with Sham and Shaka. You can check us out on www.stopplayinpodcast.com. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. And you can see us on YouTube as well. Like we always say, no double dipping unless it's the podcast. Keep your chips on the plate. And we'll talk to you again real soon.
Stop playing.